This is a tutorial for the Microsoft Word template for writing dissertations and research papers at Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. And this tutorial is about preparing your multi-chapter document, so for example a dissertation. It's about preparing your multi-chapter document for printing in the case where you have all of your chapters in a single file. So you might be wondering, why do we need to print chapter by chapter? And the answer is, in the case when, like I said, when your dissertation is in a single file, and if you're using Zotero as your reference management software, and this may be the case for EndNote and RefWorks and others, I don't know, but I know that it's the case for Zotero because that's what I use. In that case, it can happen that you will not be compliant with the Trinity Formatting and Style Guide, because the Trinity Formatting and Style Guide requires that at the beginning of a chapter, your first reference to a source in the footnotes must be a full reference. And here you can see, for example, that at the beginning of chapter 7, I'm referring to Westerman's commentary on Genesis, and it's not giving me the full reference, it's giving me an ibid. So the only way I know to get around this is to put all of your chapters in separate files. But when you do that, you can't automatically do your table of contents and your bibliography. So I recommend doing your dissertation, all the chapters in a single file. And I recommend then printing, when you get ready to print, just separate out your chapter 7 from the rest of the document and print just that chapter alone. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this tutorial, because there's a little bit of a trick. So here's what we need to do. Oh, one other thing, or I guess two other suggestions. Before you do this, the first thing you need to do is save this as another file. We're going to delete large sections of the dissertation, so you want to make sure you're not deleting large sections of your dissertation file. So save it with another name. I've already done that actually. This is I just used the date and chapter 7. And then the other suggestion that I have is, don't do this until you have a final copy of what you're going to turn in. So a first draft that you're submitting to your first reader, or the final copy that you're going to be turning in to your readers. Because this is going to be a separate file, if you make changes to it, those changes are not going to be in your master document in the original file. Okay, so those two things. Save it as another name, and this is the last thing you do before printing out and handing in to your first reader or to your committee. So now, how do we make these changes? So in this case, we're going to put chapter 7 in a separate file, and we're going to print it out. Like I said, I've already changed the name. So I'm going to go back to the end of chapter 6, and I'm going to place the cursor at the end of this line, but before the section break. And I recommend that you have your show all characters selected, or show special characters, have that selected so that you can see exactly what it is that you're deleting and what the remnants are that have been left behind. So I've placed my cursor at the end of the line, but before the section break. And now I'm going to press Shift, Control, and Home. That takes me all the way to the beginning of the document. So all the text, right from the beginning, all the way up to the beginning of chapter 7, has been selected. But now, I can't just delete this, and I'll show you why. I'm going to delete it. So chapter 7 is at the beginning of the document. But when I come down and take a look, you see my page number. We're going to fix the actual number later. The page number is at the bottom of the page, as it should be. But on page 2 of this chapter, there's no page number at the top, as there should be, and it's not even at the bottom. The reason is that I have, this is actually the second section of these chapters, or this way, my footers, the page numbering is set up so that the page number of this section is the same as the previous section. It's not defined, the page numbering is not defined for this section. So by deleting all the previous sections, I've deleted the formatting for this section. So what we need to do is get that back. So I have all this text highlighted, and now I'm going to press Shift and Page Down. And what I'm doing now is deselecting the text at the beginning of the document all the way up to the end of Chapter 1. I have to leave Chapter 1, so I'll select all of Chapter 2, but I will leave specifically this section break that you can see right here. That's the section break that I have to leave. So I'll delete all of this text. So now you can see we have Chapter 7 is basically left. And now I'm going to delete from Chapter 1 all the way to the beginning of the document. This is the end of Chapter 1. And I'm going to delete. Now I have this section break that I need on a page by itself. I have Chapter 7 is now the first chapter in the document. Page numbers at the bottom, page numbers at the top, just as it should be. Now all I need to do is come in and edit the page numbering so that this starts out on the page that it should be. So I come up here to the Design tab in the menu, come over to the first section, and I will select Page Number, Format Page Numbers. This brings up the page number formatting window, and I need to know what page this is in my original document. I don't remember what it was, but let's say it's 286. So I type in 286, make sure this is checked, hit OK, and now the page numbering is correct. So I can click out of my footnote, and now there's just one more thing that I need to do, because you'll notice that I still have this IBID. What I need to do is refresh all of my fields so that it shows the correct reference. So I can do that. In my case, I have this menu put up here in my custom toolbar. But if you don't have that, you come to the Add-ons tab on the menu and come over to the Zotero refresh icon, and you just click on that icon. And now you see my cursor will be flashing, and this will update, and when it updates, I will have the full reference to that source. And so that's all there is to it. In another tutorial, this is what you need to do for all of your chapters, except for Chapter 1, the front matter, and the back matter. So you can print the front matter and Chapter 1, all of that you can print at once, as well as the bibliography, or your back matter. You need to separate out Chapter 2, 3, and so on. You need to separate those chapters into separate files and print them. And then you just hand collate the whole document into a single document to turn in. Now, in the end, you need to turn in your whole document in one single PDF file to the document fellow. And I will show you how to do that in another tutorial. So that's it.